It's one of those instances where like, if I speak, I will be in trouble.
He's probably a sex addict. He's probably like, into some deep shit.
Don't include this in the conversation.
I'm like on TikTok being like, I would never take advice from someone who looks like you. Scroll like,
What's a stripper?
why is the car shaking? And the guy that I totally
There.
rejected was like standing behind
was
us
there.
in the line.
And then someone in the back of my head went like smacked my head in the hat.
Me and my girls, we set fire to the rain.
Sit back and relax as today's program guides you through all things pop culture and the deepest corners of the internet. Warning, may cause brain rot.
Welcome, Lauren, to the Brain Rot podcast, hosted by me, Maya V. Henry. So I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being my first guest to record with.
My absolute and utter pleasure.
Thank you. Like, honestly, we're going to have a very, easygoing flow kind of podcast. It's not going to be, one specific topic we touch on. This is, the brain rot vibes. We're all on the internet these days. We're all consuming media, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the news, for all our boomers out there. There's so many different forms of brain rot. So we're going to get into all of it. We're going to talk about a lot of mental health stuff. We're going to talk about, just funny shit that's happening in the news cycles, stuff that's happening in pop culture, and just everything in between. Lauren's one of my best friends of over 10 years.
Yeah.
We literally met in freaking 2013, I want to say. First year
Oh
university.
my goodness. Yeah, literally. It's been a hot minute, but
Yeah.
what a joy it's
How
been,
times
honestly.
have changed. And genders. I was a different person. Different name.
Yeah. I can't keep track. No,
Same soul.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
No.
No, awesome. So how's life been for you?
It's been good. I mean, I think over the past 4 years, I've been literally working from home. So it's a weird sort of thing where everything's returned relatively back to normal, but you're still at home, and there's pros and cons to it. But
Sure.
I think there's a lot of social aspects that you're and it's tale as old as time. We've talked about it in length in the media, everywhere, in social media, about how you feel isolated and stuff. But I think that it's still true to a degree. But
It's almost like one of those things where we had, the lockdowns, we had the pandemic, and there's so many people out there that would relate to you, where you have these remnants of jobs that are work from home, and you have this almost mindset that's kind of lingering, and it served its purpose during the lockdowns and stuff, because it was there's no other way. But then you start to realize over time, okay, I really appreciate the social aspects of life. Even my sister was saying if she were to find a new job, she'd want it to at least be hybrid or something, because she misses just seeing people face to face, that's just invaluable. So I totally resonate with you. Just feeling those isolation vibes a little bit.
yeah, it's important to be aware of how you're feeling in those moments, and obviously keeping busy, and you get into a rhythm of being productive in work and stuff like that, and that's no real issue. But I think there's a real loss of not really seeing your colleagues, and obviously friends, if you're FaceTiming friends and stuff, face to face. Look at my leg,
Definitely.
boy. But on the other side of that, I remember just being so, at the end of the week, I'd be so burnt out, even when I was in the office, because you're just operating at such a high level of awareness, because you're just interacting with people, and it's go, go, go. Obviously you have your lunches and your breaks and stuff like that, but I feel I also, in a weird way, have more peace of mind now, and learned to be kind of alone.
Yeah.
Even more so.
More independence, more resilience in that way.
Yeah, and a different type of productive. I was productive at work, but I found I was just, again, so burnt out by the end of the day.
And there's more distraction, whether it's commuting or it's, your coworkers or lunch or workplace drama. You probably don't have as much of that when you're working from home, because you just do your own thing, right?
No,
So
yeah,
that's kinda cool. Some bonuses.
Yeah, and like if anyone's has worked at a company, like it comes with the territory of it. You know, in my area, it's in the tech industry, which is I don't know if anyone's watching that works in the tech industry, which it's very up and down and very go, 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 even when you're working from home. But there's, I think, a lot more of an awareness of work-life balance. And I think it's really important. I think there's pieces of like working remotely that like I can take and I actually, it's like, wait a minute, well, like I actually value that. I value taking a moment, stepping back, because, you know, you're not seeing someone face to face all the time. You know, it's in a Zoom meeting or in a virtual meeting, whatever platform you're using, but then you turn the meeting off and then you're able to kind of collect yourself and then figure out what you need to do emotionally to prepare for your next task or whatever. Whereas like in meetings, like if you're having social interactions in person, like you have to put on that face the whole time.
Oh, for sure.
And that's for someone who has
almost like masking in a way.
Well, yeah, it's like you're being professional. Yeah, you're being professional. You're focused. You're in a flow state of, you know, working and whatever it is. Like if you're in a real focus state, or you're in more of like a social, like a meeting type state where you have to be present and listen to people talking, or you're more like focused down on your work.
Yes.
But you're always up there.
I'd say I totally relate to that in terms of when I go to an event or something. Like just this week I went to like a Kerastase event, and you are used to doing everything at your own pace as like a content creator. You're like editing shit yourself. You're like keeping yourself accountable for productivity, which I'm sure you are to a certain degree. You have like deadlines and goals that you have to meet. But you have to be responsible for everything you do on your own time. Kind of same with me. But then I have these like pockets of like events where I have to like socialize, and it's like all of a sudden 100, like you have to put on that professionalism, you have to like meet all these new people. And so like I relate to you and I understand, because I feel like I can be more authentic with myself on camera at home and doing these things. But then when I go to these events, sometimes it feels like I'm being like the influencer version of myself, and it's kind of interesting because like it's not as productive or as genuine sometimes as when you feel like in your own space, in your own element. So definitely, I could see how maybe your communications and your demeanor would be more calm and more assertive from your own house, because you have that sense of like comfort.
Yeah, like you kind of develop that skill sort of, and I don't think I really realized it until like working remotely for 4 years. Before all of that, you know, the pandemic, and then we have talked about it at length. It's kind of like, okay, like, can we just close that chapter of our lives? But for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm still working remotely. And a lot of the industry, especially the tech industry, is still working remotely too. And, you know, that's just kind of the way it is, the creative industries. But
in some ways, it's like really good if that's still able to happen, you know, because it affords you like the ability to be a nomad. Like I know, for instance, you were thinking of moving to the UK. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, where do you want to live? What made you want to, you know, move to the UK?
Well, I think it's for me, I need that new sort of challenge. And I've always been kind of that person of whether I was a kid or whatever, like very imaginative and figuring out what is the next thing, what will make me happy out there. You know, but there was always like a weird mental lapse of like, well, if I go to this place or if I achieve this job, I'll be happy.
So always looking for those like picture perfect checkmark moments, like, oh, if this happens, then I'll reach this goal. Or and I think we all do that sometimes. Like we all want, you know, the perfect sign for us to do something. Yeah. But sometimes you just have to grab the bull by the horns.
You or anyone thinking that, well, if I achieve this, whatever it is, you know, whether it's that look, you know, or if I get this job in the career, or if I move to this place, then I'm going to be happy. Then I reach the pinnacle.
Yeah,
and it's
like
never
if I get
that.
this nose job, then everyone's going to love me and my life's going to be great. And then you get the nose job and you're like, maybe not. Like, you know, there's a lot of inner healing that needs to happen. And
yeah, and that's like kind of like where I got to. Like I think it's striking a bit of a balance, because like for me moving to the UK, it's like, you know, or wherever it may be in Europe, but I just want to challenge myself. But I think the old me would have been maybe if I was 18, you know, just going into university. It's like, oh, I have to do this. And if I don't move here, it's a complete failure. Whereas that's not the way to think, because I think it's just a bit of maturity and experience that, listen, you need to, there's an insecurity there. What is that? And why do I feel like this is the be all or end all? Because that's not how life works. Like nothing, it's like, you know, like an American Idol, you audition, like there's people, a lot of them are kids, to be quite honest, because they're inexperienced. They audition, they say, if I don't get through, my career is over.
My favorite contestant, Mary Roach.
Oh my God.
I feel the earth move, fall on my feet.
Oh my God.
And she's like, I'm going to go style beauty hair because that's what I'm good at. And blah, 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 blah. She like has this freak out. She like wants to be a singer. She thinks she has the star quality. And she fails at her audition. And then she has a meltdown. And she says like she must go into beauty school then. And you kind of see this dichotomy where like someone puts all of their joy and love for music in one pivotal moment, like that audition. And then the minute it doesn't work out, then they're like, okay, well now I have to go to beauty school. And it's like, that's not, like if you really love something and, you know, like you love the UK or whatever it is, it could be a job, it could be a hobby. You find other ways to do it if the way that you're passionate about doesn't end up working out, you know? Like, so say like you don't end up moving to the UK, you might just find other ways to visit or, you know, live somewhere else in Europe or something, or have like a work stay, or, you know, you could find other ways to access it without having to like you said, have that mentality of like, I have to move there, otherwise I'm failing, because like this was the goal I had, and if I don't meet it, then I'm failing my goals. So life changes, you know? You never know.
I think it's almost like a change of perspective where you go, okay, well, you know what? Let's go try it. And it can't be this like expectation that I have to live there forever, and if I move back, it's a fail. Because I think maybe a lot of like expats and stuff like that maybe feel that way, that like they put all this onus in moving across the world or to another city, town, whatever. And then maybe a year later or a few years later or 10 years later or 20 years later, they end up, maybe it's not as what they expected, or it just, your priorities shift. You kind of outgrow that moment in your life. And it's like, well, you can't look at it as a fail. Yeah. It's just okay, I've learned something about myself, but at least I did it.
Exactly. You know? That's such a good way of looking at that. And so specifically the UK, is that because, you know, your pops from like the UK and like your mom has that kind of lens of, you know, I know she's like passionate about like the royal family and like all that stuff. Yeah. Like what really like brought your passion for the UK specifically?
I like, it's just on my mom's side, like just they're from the UK and, you know, grew up kind of in that, like I said, my grandfather was born there and from there, and then he immigrated over to Canada, like a lot of babies in the 20s and stuff like that, in the 30s, well, kind of a little bit before the 30s. It was more like the 20s, but
and we are a Commonwealth country, so
literally, and they needed to populate Canada a lot of the, but no, I just thought, okay, like it was just kind of just in my ethos of growing up. Like it wasn't like force fed down my throat, but like a lot of the influences that my grandparents had, like it was very British, and the food was
so it almost feels like at home for you because you have those influences, right?
Yeah. And then we went and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wasn't that trip so much fun? Like I loved it. It was iconic.
It was like something just kind of like felt right, where it was like, yeah, this is like,
it was iconic. Like London is iconic. Like the Big Ben, the Westminster Abbey, going to, you know, Shoreditch. And Lauren was singing this one Taylor Swift line every single day. Sing it. Tickets, sister.
Shoreditch in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It was a London Boy. Oh my gosh, that song. It's so tacky, but
Major
all the
Swiftie here, if anyone was wondering. Major.
Yeah. But like when I was there, and then we were there, it was like, oh, this feels like, it felt right. Like it just felt like, okay, like I want to keep this going. And I eventually obviously want to travel to more countries and even expand more into like maybe in cultures that are not remotely anything like mine, you know, because England is very similar.
Very similar. But I
very
will say
similar,
it's like
but
kind of
different.
refreshing because like you, I grew up watching the Spice Girls and I just love British humor too, the dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, and obviously like Harry Potter, although like J.K. Rowling, but basically, I when I went as well, I thought, oh my God, like this is so much fun. Like it's so refreshing to switch it up. Like we were kind of bored of like Toronto, Canada vibes. And there's just so much culture in London and I feel like so much history. I feel like in Canada, it's obviously like North America, the settlements here are a lot newer for various reasons, colonization and whatever. It's like so much newer here. So you don't have that history. And we also suck at protecting the history that we do have. And so for me, like a big part of like the London experience was like seeing, the tombstones from 1186, when we went to Westminster, or like, you went a subsequent time and you went even to like, Stonehenge and like Bath, and like that's crazy to me. Like thinking of like the Celtic Britons and like the ancient world there, like that's just so cool to me. I love it.
Yeah, it was so like Stonehenge was really. I went back by myself. I loved it so much that I was like, okay, like, I don't know why. I just thought, okay, I'm in a place where I can, let's go for it. And I went back by myself, which was like, I felt fine to go because we were already there and it was like, okay, I feel confident. Like, it's totally fine. It's very, if anyone who's a young female traveler and you want to solo travel, like the UK is completely fine. Obviously have your street smarts, but
yes, girls, gays, and theys hit up England. Although they are coming for our rights a little bit, but that's another story.
Yeah, but I went to like a football match, like a European football. That was an interesting experience.
Oh my God, okay. So
I don't know.
Let's do it. It's funny. So you went and you were wearing a Liverpool hat.
Yeah.
And what section did you sit in?
I couldn't get tickets to the away end. So Liverpool and Arsenal were playing. And oh man, I know that like if anyone who's a European football fan, they're from the UK or any part of Europe or South America, like you're thinking, what is wrong with you?
We all saw what they did to David Beckham when he got that red card in the documentary. If you haven't seen it, oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, and I remember that too. I even when I was a kid, I remember it. So I tried desperately to get away end tickets in the Liverpool section. So if anyone who's in North America in European football matches, soccer, the away end is a restricted section because of just hooliganism and just complete rivalry, fights, fans, and all of that.
So it's a rowdy crowd.
Well, it's just the away section, and it's because if you intertwine away fans in football, again, European football, they're like it is intense, and that's a reason why they don't take up like half the stadium. It's only like maybe it's like 5,000 people or 10,000 people depending on the stadium.
Out of how many?
Like 60,000.
Okay.
So it's like 10%, 10%. Yeah, and that's fine. It's great. And it's a lot of the diehard fans and stuff like that. Anyways, couldn't get a ticket. So I managed to get a ticket in the home stand, the Arsenal section. And I had a Liverpool hat on. I didn't have any, like totally plain clothes everywhere else. It was fine for a bit. It was relatively fine. But when Arsenal scored, this was like last year, they scored and I didn't cheer. So they sussed me out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't I wasn't I wasn't doing anything insane.
You just weren't animated like they were, and like
exactly.
You weren't enthusiastic, so they could kind of tell that you weren't one of us.
Yeah, and I had the hat on, and it was obvious. Like I know that there's fans that like the
just
UK
the hat alone.
Yeah, but there's UK fans that even going by yourself, like even if you didn't have a hat on, like it's like why would you do that? You know, like in hindsight, 100%, like I learned a lesson.
In the enemy territory.
It was
so. What happened?
So it got to a point in the game. So Arsenal scored. I didn't really cheer. I was kind of getting, you know, some bicker moments, people kind of cheering in my face and all that. Even I was just kind of there.
You're just like, oh, what's a problem over there?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it was. I got called some names out just for no reason.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. But and then Liverpool scored. We didn't end up winning the game because of a cheap penalty.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't really cheer. I just kind of went like,
Yeah.
like. But everyone would
A little.
snipe their eyes, not actually snipe, but like look at the girl with like everyone was waiting to
Yeah.
see to see if I would cheer and all that. I didn't do anything. And then Arsenal scored a second goal. It was kind of back and forth for a bit, and then they won on a dodgy penalty. But they scored the second goal, and then the stadium erupted. Cool. And then someone in the back of my head smacked my head and the hat off of my head. No idea like who it was or whatever. They all played dumb and all that. It was just a grown ass man who like.
That's so ridiculous.
I found out it was actually he brought his daughter to the game, and he behaved like that in front of his daughter who was like maybe 11 or 10. It's
That's
like,
wild.
wow.
I know the audacity. Like, of course, you know.
It is
so
what it
sad
is.
For her
But if
that
I
she
was
has a
a-
father like that, you know,
Yeah, and if I was a male, like I think
it would have been worse.
I
Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
oh 100%. Like I would have, I think, got the crap,
Bloody
like the
nose?
shit kicked
Yeah.
out of me,
Oh my
100%. So anyway, someone like some Arsenal fan, so that's why they're in my good graces a little bit. Reported it to one of the stewards, and they escorted the person out. So I had no idea who it was, but someone noticed it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I was like kind of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But like that's just typical behavior, I guess, in a
Yeah,
football
yeah.
match, especially
No,
big ones like that.
It's shocking, like being like hit in any way when you're not expecting it, and like you're just like dazed and confused, and you're by yourself. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Well,
I would
people
feel so
were-
uncomfortable.
People they were fine, but like I will say it was just the silent minority.
Yeah.
But the rest of like the section were very good and
good.
really nice, and someone reported it, and I got moved to even a better seat, and it was
Amazing.
great.
Well, thanks to that person.
And so yeah,
You got moved to witness protection program.
yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, Liverpool lost that game. It was a high-scoring game, but
Boo.
that's all right.
So, what would you say is your absolute favorite restaurant in London? I feel like I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Manteca.
Yeah.
That was, but then again, like I think we could have. You have to really like.
We have to go more places for sure.
Yeah, but that was just like such a, it was the day after.
It was cozy. It was nice.
Well, it was just good vibes. Like we got there we flew in the day before, and then we were just happy and kind of on a high a little bit. And it was nice weather and stuff, and we did like what do they call it, a la carte or
Yeah.
tapas.
Well, we kind of did tapas. Like I didn't eat meat at the time.
Yeah.
So I know I want to go back and try all the duck confit and all that
Yeah,
stuff
the
and, like,
ragu, the duck ragu,
Yes, and that I tried a piece of that cabbage that was like with that
pork broth.
Yeah.
I still think about that meal every day.
so good.
Oh my god, it was so,
So
good.
I need to go back one time with you, and we'll indulge again because I need to try that fresh pasta and stuff. Even the stuff that I had no meat was so freaking good, like mouth-watering. Hit up Manteca London, so good.
It was really good.
Also, one of the memories that sticks in my mind, so like burned in my brain, is sketch, like the high tea. Oh my god, like the experiences you get in London are unparalleled. I can't think of anywhere in Toronto that's like that, where you get like a quartet of strings performing for you while you're having high tea.
It was so good.
The rose tea that I had was amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And they had vegan caviar and real caviar. And it was like so good. Like if you
I
remember,
forget
we
what
did,
tea
like,
I had. I don't know if I had like some type of berry tea. I can't remember. Caviar was kind of like I could care less.
Yeah, it depends if you like caviar or not.
Yeah, it was just salty.
I
and
don't
kinda
mind
like,
it. Yeah.
It was meh.
I don't know if I've ever had. No, I've definitely had real caviar since, but not just like on its own. I would like to try it on its own. You know, when they like put it on your hand, you go. Quite elegant.
Oh my gosh.
But
yeah.
Emma and I, we literally went to a candlelight concert for like Hans Zimmer, and it was literally like 4 people that were playing. Like the candlelight concerts are kind of a little sus. Like it costs like $50 to go. They have them in cities all around the world, and they just have local musicians that will play the songs last minute.
Yeah.
So they're not very full sounding. Like, you know, Hans Zimmer is a full orchestra. So when you're getting just like 3 strings and a piano, it's not the same. But I was thinking of Sketch, where it's like, you know, we paid like $100 each and we got like a full thing.
It was like 80.
Literally. And like we got a full performance where they're doing gorgeous like Bridgerton style covers of like the Beatles and shit.
It was so good.
And then the decadent food and the tea, and it's like all of that compared to like the $50 Candlelight concert in Toronto.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
that's actually...
I wish they had more stuff like this in Toronto, like cultured things that are like more, you know, immersive, I guess.
And the bathrooms.
Oh yes,
Oh
the
my
egg
God.
pots.
They were...
You Dutch oven yourself in them. There's like no fan. And then there's like a cleaner that's going around 24/7 knocking on the doors.
And I think they were gender neutral. So I think...
Yeah, just like anyone's going in a pod.
Like it doesn't really matter at that point. Like
We all know why they shaped them like eggs. The sulfuric acid was just... Yeah, no.
It was kind of interesting.
It was cool. They just, I think they needed more fan ventilation in them.
That's what
It's giving porta potty with a toilet.
That's
like,
what yeah. So if anyone's been to Sketch or is going there, just, it's cool. But like, you also have to realize you're in a bathroom.
That's
so like a public bathroom. So it's...
Yes. And that's the one part that leads up to its name. Like it lives up to its name. Sketchy bathroom. No.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're at the end of the day, it's like, oh wow, I'm gonna take photos. You're in a bathroom, like you're in a public bathroom.
A loo, as they would say. A loo.
The washroom. Yeah.
Do you remember? Okay, so we didn't go out too much in London, like partying that much, because obviously, like it was still kind of like COVID era. But we did go out to a few places. One of my favorites was when we went to East Cheap, or was it East Records?
East Cheap Records. Right.
East Cheap Records. And they had like live music. There was like a jazz band. They were doing like a Beyonce cover. So
they were really good.
Yeah, so good.
They were really good.
And I don't remember like any of the debauchery we got up to in there. But we were talking to a few guys. No, it's part of it. It's funny. Do you remember the details more than I do? I'm like trying to think back. It's like kind of foggy. I know I was chatting with someone.
You made friends with the bartender who was...
Oh, yes. I think his name was JC or something, or RC, or it was like an acronym. Idea. He was really nice.
Yeah, but you weren't getting free drinks, but you were really like guzzling the back.
It was because like it was so crowded. He would always come to us when we wanted drinks.
It was great.
Like,
yeah, it was
skip
busy.
Everyone else, and I was like, ooh, bougie treatment.
Yeah, well, and I was like so paranoid that all the like
we were like going back to normality, and
yeah, like it was April 2022, so we were still kind of like going back into venues and stuff. I don't even think like back here in Ontario we were full capacity yet, but the UK was like totally fine at that point. But anyway, no, I was just like so like, oh, I don't want to waste my day tomorrow being hungover and tired. Like I want to make the most of it. And we were still like kind of getting back off of recovering from jet lag and stuff like that. So I was like being a little stickler about it more than I wanted to. It was just my own little thing because I was like, no,
that's fine. I don't even remember that. I just remember like the craziness.
It was more my own internal thought.
Like I remember this one guy was like talking to us, maybe more so to me. There was one guy that was really into you. And then the one guy that was into me, I only bring it up because later the next morning, like we went to Pret because we were staying in like the business area where all like the Wall Street people of London were. It was like near Tower Bridge or whatever.
That was where our flat was.
Yeah. And so we happened to go to places that had a lot of like, I guess like more like financial oriented men.
Yeah.
And they all were working there. So like when we would go out the next day, like because we were staying there, we would see them again. So we were like hungover in Pret one morning, and the guy that I totally rejected was like standing behind us in the line.
Oh, like as if that happens, right? But I guess it's pretty normal. Like we realized that like, okay, like after like happy hour, the Brits, like they
spill out of those bars, like
they drink, and it's every night almost.
And it's like a huddle outside of the establishments. They can drink with their pints like out in the streets, which is so cool. I actually kind of love that.
I think it's only a certain extent. You can't drink it past a certain like area.
You can't just be like strolling around drinking.
But the pubs were just pooling out of people, like, and that's like You just don't get that in North America.
And all the pubs are so beautiful. Like, they have so much history. Like, they almost remind me of, like, a ship, you know? Like, the way that they are. Like, they have this, like, wooden, rustic vibe to them. It feels like you're in, like, the galley or whatever it's called on a ship when you're, like, you know, in the captain's quarters. Like, those are the vibes I get, and it's so fun.
A lot of them, like, had, like, a medieval sort of look to them.
Yes.
And interior, you know, like they got like the Hogs Inn or Hogs Head. It's like a weird names, but like it was cool. But the area was really cool, and like it was especially kind of neat for me because like if you have grandparents that served in the war and all that, and learning about like East London area of like the Blitzkrieg and you know, that's why down like the city of London is so new. And the architecture and the buildings are so new because the majority of it was completely destroyed by
there's fires, plagues, bombings.
Literally, like East London got hit. It got really hard. Hit really hard. So yeah, like that. And then, there were buildings that did exist. Like there was like.
I remember we were talking to the minister at was it at Westminster? Yeah, that was cool. And he was talking about it a little bit. Oh, we spent like 3 hours at the Holocaust Museum just like walking around.
It was amazing.
It was great. It was amazing. But it was like we got too absorbed in it. Sorry?
No, I was just like saying like the Imperial War Museum.
Yes, where the Imperial War Museum.
Holocaust exhibit. And it was phenomenal. Like, it was phenomenal.
Oh,
and so much.
So comprehensive. Like, I've never been able to access that much of it.
It told a story, like, right from, and I didn't really truly, for some reason, I didn't really realize how much, like, propaganda in the 30s, like, before World War II had started, obviously, that, you know, we don't have to go down.
The Nuremberg laws and all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't have to go down, like, the history lane. I think everyone could kind of, like, go read a book. Yeah. But it was really interesting to see, like, how, like, told a story, like of how the Nazi Germany like had really amplified their message through propaganda and wording and posters and stuff like that. And obviously they're not the first regime to, you know, to do that. He's not the first person to do it, but it was really interesting.
Yeah. I also remember, like, I'm trying to think of, like, funny moments from that trip, but I remember when we were walking back from a bar one night, and this guy was, like, talking to us, and he was, like, with his group of friends, and his one friend, like, stumbled over, like, a parked bike. And, like,
they were hammered.
Yeah,
they were hammered.
And then I was, like, talking to him, and he, like, looked at me dazed and confused, and he was like, "Speak English, love."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, me and my girls are staying here. We're just heading back home from a night out."
He didn't understand he couldn't understand our accents.
Yeah.
And then you went into like this terrible Cockney accent, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we understand you." Like you actually got away with it.
Like they were drunk enough to think that like
he apologized for his friend.
Yeah.
That was that guy.
Oh yeah. So he's kind of being gentlemanly.
"Speak English, love. I can't understand ya."
Literally. "Oh my God, well, we my girls. We're just heading from a night out."
It killed
Having a few pints with my girls. Do you know where we can get some fish and chips?
Adele? Like, sorry, Adele?
Yeah.
That was
so
funny.
We were just rolling in the deep. Me and my girls, we set fire to the rain. Hello.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, that was so phenomenal.
And he was like, "Are you seeing anyone?" And I was like, "Divorce, babe, divorce."
No, you didn't.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
yeah, no, it was good. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which I probably should have brought up sooner, but like most people who are watching probably know Lauren. Probably know Lauren from Twitch. Because Lauren and I have been streaming together consistently since like November. And this is like your big face reveal moment because
I feel like people have seen me like maybe in other stuff.
Like on Instagram, if you're like a pervasive, like well-read follower, then like, you know, you've probably seen her pop up a few times. Anyone on Twitch and on like YouTube, just gaming alone, who's joined recently, they wouldn't have seen
Got
you.
my sassy remarks
like,
and...
Yes. Here's the face to the voice, Lauren.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comment below. Does she look how you thought?
No. Oh gosh.
No.
It was already difficult enough to get me on camera here.
I know.
Just throwing me to the wolves.
Yes, she was so patient while I was like setting everything up. We've got like 3 cameras going. We've got like
Me?
lights. Yeah,
Patient?
you're patient. You
Oh,
were.
I was just watching
as you were breaking
Manchester
wind.
United lose. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so we never really talked about gaming much for, until probably the past year. And we obviously played like Sims when we were in like, residence together in university. So like I knew you played Sims, but like I had no clue that you also played other games and had consoles and stuff like that. So that was like such an exciting thing for me to find out. And I feel like it unlocked a new layer in our friendship.
Oh yeah.
What like kind of got you into gaming? Like, tell me your, like, experience of, like, introduction, because I feel like not, like, a lot of girls do play video games, you just don't hear about it, but
Yeah.
not a lot, grew up playing them, or, like, do it to the extent that we do, or we're, like, doing consoles, or, like, playing Fortnite, or, as you do, like, was it League of Legends, or, no, it wasn't League of Legends, it was
Oh, I played a
Overwatch.
Yeah,
That's the
Overwatch.
one.
I have a big brother.
Yes.
Have a big brother. Grew up with a big brother, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I literally just watched my brother play video games. All of the like the
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. Like, and I was like,
yes.
he's like,
The little
he's
prostitutes are, like, out walking, like...
he's driving a car and he runs over hookers in in Miami.
Yeah.
Like, just like, what's a stripper?
Why is the car shaking?
Why am I running over people and no one's coming after me?
Why aren't you using a shotgun? Okay, fine.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was like at mid 2000s. I don't know, you watch like siblings play like video games.
Totally agree. I had an older cousin, Michael, shout out Michael, who kind of introduced me to like video games like Pokemon and other things. And then
Oh,
like,
yeah.
me and my friend Ashley, we would play like Grand Theft Auto on PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So like definitely like you have those like influences around you, but it's so much fun, right? And I was like the older sibling to my sisters, and that's what kind of got them into gaming, because they would always want to watch what I was playing. So
I was never allowed to actually play because I would mess up his mission progress.
Oh,
And there was
no.
one time I did, and that was a bad day. Just like I accidentally deleted all his progress on one of the games, and I didn't mean to, or overwrote
Yeah,
his
on the memory
save.
card.
Yeah, the memory cards. Because it's not like now it wasn't cloud based or like it is now.
For sure.
So where it doesn't auto save, you have to make sure you save it. And anyway, so that was not a good day. That
I
was
can imagine. He probably had gamer rage. Remote up the butt.
yeah. But
You guys know what I'm quoting.
oh my gosh. But no, I played like I had a Game Boy, like the Game Boy Color. Like I think everyone like in the early 2000s did. And had Pokemon, and then I would go over to my friend's house, and we would play Nintendo, like Mario Kart and stuff like that. So that was like, it was all in the Nintendo, the GameCube, and all of that.
So fun. And I also had a similar experience with my sisters where like I was the one who had like the GameCube, and I would say like what games they could play or couldn't play, because like I had my progress too, and of course like they erased everything on one of my memory cards, and I was so mad about it, and I was like, why can't I have anything to myself?
Yeah.
I had like 4 siblings, but in hindsight it's like silly.
Oh, yeah.
In the moment when you're a kid, it's like, this is my life's work.
Oh yeah, my brother would like hide the PlayStation when he would be gone for the weekend, just to like out of spite.
I know.
And
Isn't it so
yeah.
evil when
Oh,
you
it
think
was-
back?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I just remembered that, and I still, it was maniacal.
I did something like that when I was
He just
like,
didn't want me to like touch it because he knew I would mess it up or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah. But I never did. I rarely ever did.
I know. It's one of those things where like as siblings, like when you're kids, I feel like the landscape is so different, and you're so possessive over things that are yours, because like
Yeah.
you want your own kind of space and identity, and you want to be able to have control over it.
Yeah.
So we can be really nasty as older
Thing
siblings.
is, the PlayStation was both of ours.
Oh.
So there was always arguments of like,
Yeah.
oh, but it's also, I mean, I never really played on it like that much. I would play, if anything, it would be a game that he played. Like it wouldn't be, I wouldn't buy my own games. So it was really just like vicariously through him, and like, but that's how I was introduced to gaming. It's PlayStation 2.
That's fun. PlayStation 2, yeah.
And maybe
That's a good
a
one.
little bit of PlayStation 1 maybe, but I don't really remember that much of it.
Nice. And we, for anyone who doesn't know, we like started streaming together when I started doing Hogwarts Legacy, because Lauren had played that one and we were big Harry Potter fans. And she kind of like first initially came onto my Twitch channel as like a guide and like a, you know, a co-host.
I was about to say a guy. And I'm like, fair?
Yeah, just like J.K. Rowling, like
Yeah,
a pseudonym,
yeah.
Robert Galbraith.
But a guide, yeah. More or less.
Yeah, and it was honestly so fun, and it really changed gaming streaming for me. And then we were able to eventually try out Fortnite, and we learned that together. So
Yeah,
that was
like
so
almost
fun.
at the same time.
Oh, at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, like I thought like Fortnite was just like, and it largely is like
Kids.
10-year-old kids and stuff. So it's like, it's kind of like funny that way. Like, but honestly, like I find it's way less stressful. Like I tried out Warzone for like a little bit through like a couple of mutual friends of their ex-partner, but and I tried it out and I was like, this is so intense. Like it's weapons matter, your loadout, what you put an attachment on your gun for, and like your perks, and it is very competitive. You can also hear people.
It's so much more intense to me when the graphics are like more realistic as well. Like I've always avoided those
true.
kinds of things because they're so dark, and I love Fortnite because it's got those like fun cartoony elements, and they also have a lot of like branding. Like, you know, they're doing Avatar: The Last Airbender right now.
Yeah.
So like I like when they switch it up and it's more like chill vibes. The darkness of like Warzone or Counter-Strike or whatever those other ones
realistic.
are. Yeah, I'm down to try them because like I've had people request, but
It's
like I don't
hard.
think I'll like it as much as I like Fortnite because it's just like easy to pop on.
It's
get your
difficult.
little dopamine fix.
I will say, like, if you do get a win in Warzone, because it's so difficult, it's a lot more strategic. Like, it's very tactical and very strategic where you go.
I noticed that you bring a lot of strategy and, you know, mental just acrobatics to Fortnite that the younger viewers don't. So like we might have someone playing with us who's like really good at fighting and whatever, but they don't know to follow the zones or to rotate or to like you have good call outs. I really learned a lot about Fortnite strategy through you because you had that knowledge from like Warzone.
I genuinely like it's all from that because we got a storm's closing in, like we have to start like rotating and stuff, or we need high ground, we shouldn't be in the low ground. I mean, those are like basic combat. I don't know.
I know, but I wouldn't
like
have
basic.
thought of that because I don't do combat games, so it was like so fun.
Or switching
to do that.
between certain guns, right? You're using like
Yeah.
you're using a sniper in a close range fight. I'm like, oh sweetie.
Like
oh,
if
sweetie.
it's closer, it'll have more impact.
No, yeah. Well, you know, and that might be valid. But no, anyway, it's
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I can apply that similar like sort of idea to like you know, strategy towards Fortnite.
Love it.
I just find Fortnite way more like chill.
I agree. It's just it's unserious.
And less cheaters. Like honestly, like Warzone and like Call of Duty and stuff, from like at least from what the little I experienced, like so much cheating. So like you snapping like, around like
so
and
annoying.
seeing you through walls and stuff. They don't have a very good like anti-cheat system, but Fortnite I think does. I think we've caught a few, but it's few and far between. Anyway, but yeah,
every person
it's so
that
much fun.
like is too good, I'm like,
yeah, oh, they're cheating.
Zenning.
And honestly, some of them it very much
We've
could
definitely
be.
seen some that are sus.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's hard to notice them in third person because it's kind of tricky in the. Whereas if you were like in Call of Duty and you're watching you were spectating someone for first person, you would know exactly how they're aiming.
Yeah.
It's because it's like right through their lens.
Yeah.
So it's harder to tell in Fortnite. I noticed that it kind of it's like third person. But anyway.
Yep. So let's take a little break. Fill a mixing glass with ice and add 2 ounces of St. Remy Martin, 0.25 ounces of simple syrup, and 1 tablespoon of crushed cardamom pods. Add 4 dashes of Angostura bitters and stir vigorously. Next, we're going to pour it over a cream cube in a rocks glass. Then we're going to peel an orange, and we're going to spritz the aroma from the peel onto the rim and give it a nice little rub for the aromatics. And there you have our take on an old-fashioned. Now we're in the part of the Brain Rot segment called Brain Rot Booze Hour. And this is where we kind of dive into a little cocktail moment or a mocktail moment, depending on the guest or what people drink. And this cocktail was inspired by one of Lauren's favorite cocktails of all time.
Old time.
The Old Fashioned, which is traditionally made with whiskey, some bitters, and some orange simple syrup. But I didn't have any whiskey on hand, so we're having Remy, which is a VSOP. It's like a nice like brandy. So we're having that with the orange syrup, but I added some cardamom pods as well to give it a little more flavor. And then, of course, the Angostura bitters. So cheers to that. Let's see how it tastes. I haven't even taste tested it yet. We got the little orange rind in it.
Ready? I'm just kidding. It's delicious.
It's good. I think it's really
very
nice.
Good. Very smooth. Not
Easy
too
to
sweet.
drink. And it's very like reticent of like a old fashioned, just with none of the whiskey kick. It's missing like the spice of the whiskey.
Yeah, but nonetheless, still very good.
Mm-hmm. So
good job.
During this part of the podcast, I want us to like deep dive into like salacious topics, love, dating, drunkenness, debauchery, just anything, you know? We won't push you too hard or anything like that.
Hey now.
We're not in a labor room.
Yeah. Hey-oh.
So I was thinking the other day, I was like, oh my goodness, like I get so cringe sometimes when I've been drinking, and I have this confidence that I would never otherwise have, especially when it comes to like social media. I'll be like commenting on people's posts and things like as if, you know, it matters. Like people I haven't spoken to in years all of a sudden comment on their Instagram photo and be like, you know, like, beautiful, gorgeous, honey, work it, slay, you know? And then I'll be like sober a week later and they'll heart the comment and I'll be like, oh, I commented that? Like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
So one time, I had a friend and she posted her and her son, super cute photo. I used to work with her like back in the day when we were camp counselors.
Oh, yeah.
And this is like 10 years ago, like long time ago. She's super nice. And I'm sure she would look at this and be like, ha ha ha, this is funny. Like she wouldn't care. But in my mind, I'm kind of mortified. So she like since has been married, has a kid, everything, you know, like life goes on. Mm-hmm. And I followed her on Instagram and like she's just so gorgeous and has this beautiful life and I'm so happy for her. But I haven't seen her since like the camp days, and she posted this like really cute photo of her and her son, and I like shortened her name and her son's name as if it's like nicknames, but like I shortened them so that they would match. I'm not gonna say their names. And then I commented a heart beside it, like as in like her name and then her son's name and then a heart, because like, you know, I just was like, oh, it's cute and I'm gonna shorten their names to like make it like a thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Like, who are you? Like, you have never met her son. You like haven't seen her in 10 years. Like, she hearted the comment, but it's like, it's a weird fucking comment. And I was just like kind of mortified. Have you ever done anything like that?
No.
Just me on
No.
this island.
Genuinely.
I'm like on TikTok being like, I would never take advice from someone who looks like you. Scroll, like saying like
I would,
things.
but the thing is, like, I'm not very like, I'm not super active on social media. Like
So you don't have a lot of brain
scroll.
rot, is what you're saying.
Well, in other ways, maybe. But
Yeah.
no, like I pretty much just observe. I don't really engage in it. I'm not worse.
watching from the shadows.
Pretty much, like,
Yeah.
what do they call it? Lurk. I lurk.
A lurker. Okay.
But I'm also like not actively engaged in like the social part of social media. Like I don't post a lot on my Instagram.
Yeah, you're not like an active participant, I would say.
No.
You're like a passive participant. Like
Yeah.
you consume and absorb, but you're not like posting things as much.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Have you like ever sent any like drunken texts that were embarrassing? Like, you know, we all get drunk and then all of a sudden like we're in our feels and we want to like message that ex or something, and
Yeah.
like have you ever had any like awkward encounters with that?
I'm sure I have. I think I've like smartened up after like 25 maybe, where like
Well, some of us are not so mature.
no, it's not even that. It's just like I really don't know. Like in university for sure. Like I think I sent like to a couple friends like some unnecessary like sensitive like overreaction to something. I think I almost can picture it.
And do you ever have anxiety the next day where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I sent that? Like,
No. See, okay, so
Really?
people talk about anxiety. I never really felt that because I never got like intoxicated to the point of like I couldn't control my behavior. You know, like I was always like trying to remember.
Never had that moment like where you were like,
No.
okay, I drank too much last night and I acted out of pocket.
Not out of I would never be like, I acted
Yeah.
like foolish, because I was never, I don't know, maybe you can answer this, but whenever I've been
She just
intoxicated.
doesn't remember it, you guys.
Yeah, no, there was only like maybe like 1 or 2 times where I was like, oh, like that, I wish I didn't drink that much.
I feel like you're like a loud, rowdy drunk, but you're not like you might get more assertive and rowdy and loud, but you'll never like go past a certain point, like
Or like get reckless in behavior.
You're not like completely reckless or like, you know, putting yourself in danger or like acting like wild. Like that's just not in your character. I feel like you have much more,
I never
like, control
really
over that. But
yeah, and I think it's because I always like had this like awareness. Anyway, I know this is supposed to be light, but like no, that's such a I wish I could give more, but I will say like I've had there was like one really embarrassing moment that it was like it hurt my ego. Like it really did.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, like it hurt my ego. I'm fine with it because it's pretty funny. Like it's
Phil.
funny. We were waiting in line for one of the bars back in like 4th year, 3rd year maybe.
Yeah, like Gracie's or something.
No, it was ballroom.
Oh, okay.
I know exactly.
Back in the day,
exactly.
the dirty ballroom days.
So you know how they had that parking lot?
Oh, yes.
The big, and I don't know
huge
if and there was like nothing built there. It was kind of by the fire station a little bit, like downtown Toronto.
I guess it wasn't that big because it's downtown, but like it's
Well,
big
I don't
for
know
Toronto.
if
but
I don't know if they close it off for events now or it's like something's been built there. But anyway.
Oh, it might be where Rendezvous is. If anyone is in Toronto, Rendezvous is like where they do all the picnic tables and they.
Oh, then
might
that's
be that
exactly
one, yeah.
well, that's exactly where it is. So before maybe like 2015, 2016, it was just a parking lot. People parked there for wherever they needed to go. We were waiting in line, and like the wait times can take forever to go into the bar. Like it's like, especially when you hit that peak hour where people are like going in. So like maybe like 11 or 11:30. I had to go pee. Like
A racehorse.
Like, you know, when you drink alcohol, you're pre-drinking or you're drinking
all been
in
in that
water.
position.
Yes. I had to go really bad. And I couldn't get into the bathroom and all that. And of course, it's too late to go to like a local Tim Hortons or like a Starbucks, of course. Like I just wasn't
They
thinking.
are not letting vagrants in to use the bathroom.
No, especially like at that hour. And so I was like, okay, well, I am going to go pee behind this garbage dumpster. So, you know, as any fellow females out there, whoever, identifies as a female, whatever.
Whoever squats to pee.
Basically, whoever squats to pee. Thank you.
Wonderful.
We all know we all had to do the squat to pee at some point, you know.
On pavement, it's the worst. Splashback.
Yeah. And men are lucky, I guess, in that regard. So I went behind the dumpster and I was like, okay, I really have to go. Like, anyway. And I was like, okay, I really had to go. And I go behind the dumpster, and then lo and behold, a fucking garbage truck comes to dump out the garbage of the dumpster that I was peeing behind in.
Oh my God.
And they back up and they start coming, and they're backing up to the thing, and they can like headlights right at me as I'm squatting.
High beams.
Literally, I am not kidding. Deer in headlights.
Labia in view.
Not actually. At that point, I was like quickly trying to get myself together and up. But no, they was like deer in headlights, like Sasquatch, like. That was embarrassing.
Oh
like that was
gosh,
like that. I was
so
like,
funny.
of all, in my head, I was like thinking the whole time. I'm like,
it's very
of
like
all times, of all time. I'm like,
for the garbage man.
and I literally remember thinking it would really suck if a garbage truck came, and and then I'm not even kidding.
You manifested that.
I
Like,
literally
you
manifested
him
it.
to come.
I remember distinctly thinking to myself like, it would really suck if a garbage truck came.
I just picture him like showing up and being like, "Oh, hi, I gotta take the garbage."
It was a walk. It was like a walk of shame. I was like,
yeah. Oh
and
my
then
God.
and then I tried to go between two cars. You can't make this. I literally just remembered that between two cars, not actually on the car or anything. Like, just kind of like there was a bit of space between a wall, and like two cars were kind of protecting me from view. I wasn't peeing on a car or anything like that. like
Between cars.
yeah, well, in front. It's hard to explain, but basically there was enough
She was
space.
boxed in by a Lamborghini, a Ferrari.
Yeah. No, it was by the
And a
wall.
Honda Civic.
I really had to go, and I wasn't able to because the garbage truck came. I'm not kidding. A couple came in to walk to go to their car, and I'm squatting there. I'm not kidding. And I was not peeing on the car.
Like
I was not doing any of
comedy
that.
special, a French farce. Everywhere you go to pee, there's like someone.
Yeah, and obviously it's not my finest hour of like peeing in a parking lot. I don't recommend it, but it was just like
It's a human condition.
Really?
We all have to pee.
Yeah, and but
human
again,
right.
I want to make sure I preface, I did not pee on cars. I didn't pee on a garbage dumpster. I was just trying to
If you
conceal.
come to Toronto, you might see Lauren peeing in an alleyway. That's all we're saying. Just somewhere you might be peeing.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just like, that just bruised my ego. Like I really, like...
I can imagine, like, it feels like you're, like, so, I'm trying to, like, search for that word where you're, like, caught in the act of doing something that's just so, like, uncouth. Like, it's like we all have
It's
to pee,
so
like, who cares?
beneath.
But you just feel so, like, vulnerable in that moment.
Yes.
And, like, yeah, I can't think of a moment where, like, I've been, like, caught peeing in a public, like, outdoor area like that, I think. In recent memory. Maybe I just don't leave the house enough, but I definitely have peed outside. I just never got caught. So that's the difference. And when you're like in the financial area where you were, it's like impossible to find somewhere to pee. So like, what are you going to do?
We're in the entertainment district, but that doesn't change anything.
No.
It's still, it's hard. I was mad. Like I was like, yeah, okay. Like this is what we're doing here.
Again.
So I didn't even get to pee. So I had to wait in the line again. It was just like, you couldn't make it up. Like
No,
a garbage
just
truck
everywhere
comes
you go.
everywhere I went, and I distinctly remember a couple go into their car, and I'm kind of like, their car's like maybe
I'm like
12
picturing
feet.
you. Yeah.
You know, I'm in the dark, and I'm just
Literally.
squatting down, like.
I'm picturing you driving, like, you know, outside the city just to go pee in a bush, and like someone still is there. Like you're getting further and
deer.
further away from the destination. Yeah,
There's like, they're just like
the wildlife. No,
Yeah.
like a raccoon when you're
Yeah.
like, pee by the next thing. Yeah, a possum. I recently on New Year's, I like drunk text my ex. And I think it was just like a moment of like, you know, it was New Year's and like I didn't have anyone, you know, when you're drinking and you're just like thinking about things, you're like, you know what, I just want to like have a, you know, a wild fun night, and like it's someone I know, it's familiar. You can call them up and hopefully like, you know, whatever. And like, it'll be like, everything's good to go. Like, I think one of the things that's like making me hesitant to jump into a new relationship or date is that you have to like relearn someone. They have to relearn you. And you have to start this new like language of like getting to know each other again. And like, it's awkward and weird at first. So like to contact like an ex, like I feel like we've all done it at some point where like, you know, you've had those drinks. And like I texted him on New Year's and I was just like, oh, like how's your New Year's going? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, good, whatever. He sent like a photo of the party he was at. And then I eventually like towards the end of the night, I was like, oh, do you want to come over after? Like we all know what I'm implying, right? Like, hello. And he is such an oaf. He fumbled the bag because then he messages me back saying, okay, but it will be, and then he sends an emoji with like the 18 crossed out. He sends an eggplant emoji. He sends like, it'll be this type of visit, just like, so you know. And I'm just like, my dude, like, what were you thinking I was asking you to come over after midnight on New Year's for? Like, it just like gave me such the ick in the moment. I'm like, you're so clueless. Like, I need a man to have at least like the facade of like a brain or intuition. Maybe he was drinking and he was just drunk and that's why he was
Probably,
like,
yeah.
But like at the same time, I was like, immediate ick, Sahara Desert, prune, clamped up, never gonna happen.
Cobwebs.
I was just like, never mind, have a good night. Just because like, you know, come on. Like I'm someone who needs like a hint of like romance. Like I know we like sometimes we're in a phase and we want to have like, you know, a casual encounter and we want to just like, you know, meet someone new and see what that's like. We don't always need to like have it be this like big blossoming romance and have it be a long-term relationship. Like not everyone, not every woman, not every man is looking for that in the moment. We're sexual creatures. But I feel like as a woman, and I feel like maybe for most women, we need at least like the illusion of romance. Like we don't want to just have a man be like, let's fuck. And
Let's
like,
just
okay.
it's like have a shred of maturity about the situation.
Exactly.
You know?
A little bit of understanding, a little bit of riz, a little, like.
Yeah, I mean, like, alcohol probably maybe could have played into it, but it's like, are we 21 again? You don't need to, like,
No,
why
exactly.
do we need to...
Like, we're nearing 30. We're orbiting the big 30. And it's like, we need, like, a bit of, sarcasm, a little bit of, like, playfulness. Like, it could have been, like, oh, like, you're wanting to start the new year off right, haha. Like, just some kind of banter.
But...
And then it's like, yes, and then it would have been a hot night, and then it would have been over. And I would have been fine with that, because, like, I was not looking... And maybe I would have regretted, like, seeing him. I think I would have, so I'm glad that at the end of the day I didn't even meet up with him. But, like, it just reaffirmed to me, and it's one of those moments where you're like, I made the right choice. Like, it just was not meant to be.
Well, and also it's like, well, you guys broke up for a reason, and it's like, to some extent... you could have expected that, like, okay, he might have responded that way, knowing how he may have responded in the past or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like, you're kind of, you invited it a little bit. So I'm being devil's advocate. So I'm just challenging you.
Blessing in disguise, really.
Well, yeah, but like, it's kind of like comes with the territory of like, okay, I'm reopening this for whatever reason. I mean, alcohol induced, like, sometimes you just...
New Year's induced.
I just want to shag a little. You get a little shagging.
Trying to dredge up my old resolutions.
Yeah, but at the same time, like it's easy. It's easy to like text that person, but you know what they're gonna say.
So true.
Whether they say exactly what you think or not, but like they're gonna respond in a certain way that like, oh, that reminds you of like, oh yeah, that's why we broke up.
Yeah, I think that's so true, and it makes sense. Another weird text that I received from someone else who I assume was Drunken. So for anyone who is like up to date on the lore of like years gone by, I did a YouTube video that went viral way back in the day, like 2016, when I was like literally 19 or 20. My date with a 43-year-old man. I know. Crazy, right? The 43-year-old man was not my date. He was the coworker of the person who was supposed to be my date.
Oh, I
think
I remember that. I think I remember this.
So this guy was supposed to be like, I think 26, and I was like 20 at the time, so like a baby. And we met to go for drinks. Like literally, I want to say at like 6 or 7 p.m. Like I made it early because I wanted it to be safe and everything. And he shows up with his coworker who's 43.
Oh, I remember this.
And he was just like super like fetishy vibes, weird. Like when his coworker went to the bathroom, he like said to me like, "You have a right?" Like literally. And then that was the minute I was like, "Oh my god, this is." And then he like tricked me into kissing him because he was like, "You can't leave, like just kiss me on the cheek first." And I like felt so uncomfortable. I was like literally so young. And I went to kiss him on the cheek and he turned his head to like force me to kiss him on the lips. Like that's technically like, in my opinion, in some ways assault, because like it's just like creepy. Yeah. I don't think of it that way because like in the hindsight, I'm like, I don't care, like whatever. But basically just really creepy vibes, like clearly saw me as some kind of object. So I ran out of there, never contacted it or talked to him since. He randomly messages me like 3 weeks ago, literally out of the blue. I didn't even, I think I knew it was him, but I wanted to play dumb and act like I didn't know it was him. And he was like, "Hey, like blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you up to tonight?" And then I said, "Who is this?" Even though like I still had his number in my phone. And he was like, "Oh, we went on a couple Tinder dates back in the day, like blah, blah, blah. But I'll be honest, I'm just looking for a hookup." And then I said, "Please, like never contact me again. Like respectfully, like no judgment, but please just never contact me again." Cause like bizarre. Yeah. And then he responds, "Let's try this again. How does $300 sound?" He literally tried to solicit me for prostitution. And he doesn't even know me. We went on one date 7 years ago when I was 19 or 20. I was literally propositioned for prostitution like 3 weeks ago. Can you believe that?
Oh my God.
I know. It's like dramatic, but at the same time, it's kind of hilarious. Like,
you have to prep me beforehand on this.
I know, like, I didn't want to tell her this. This is like off the script.
You're just telling me like on
I
camera.
know. Isn't that crazy?
It's one of those instances where like if I speak, I will be in trouble.
No. Well, I know you're mad on my behalf. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure everyone in the audience is mad on my behalf. But yeah.
It's disgusting behavior. Like,
literally. I sent him the nastiest response and then blocked his number. Like I was like, we went on one date like 7 or 8 years ago, and like you have the audacity to message me this, and then I said you're an apparition of Satan, and then I hit block. And so yeah.
No, that's like really unfortunate and disgusting. So, but you listen, the more you know about who not to deal with and the red flags of if someone, ladies, men, whatever, you're going on a date and someone behaves like that, just
also people
respectfully leave. Just leave.
People are deranged. Like this guy, like he doesn't know me, didn't know me at all. It's been 8 years. We went on one date. He has no idea who I am. He's just like
Desperation.
He's probably a sex addict. He's probably like, into some deep shit. And he like is like literally texting a number from 8 years ago to solicit prostitution from someone who's not even a prostitute, like that you don't even know. Like so bizarre, like so weird. And I don't even want to waste my time trying to like decipher the mental institutions of someone.
Sometimes it
like
just
that.
Is what it is. It's disgusting, and then that's what it is. So like I think it's for any female, or if a male has gone through this, but particularly women, like it's like sometimes some things are just disgusting and terrible that happen to you. There's no justifying it. You just say that it's terrible and it is what it is and move on. Just get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Leave, say you're going to the bathroom and get the fuck out of there.
And you have to block because they will worm their way back in even after 7 to 8 years. Like you
don't
just have to block.
I think like it's also important of like, if you're going on a first date, don't let them pick you up from your home or apartment. Don't let them drop you off at your home or your apartment.
For certain.
Like it's just like there's just people out there that, you want to gain their trust and you need to get to know them. And I think that's important. Don't include this in the conversation. That's
going to be
podcast.
The teaser for the podcast. Don't include this, Maya. This is so...
You just have to be... I think it's really important, like that. Like, especially in the landscape we're in, just like to be careful.
It's crazy because I'm a very like genuine person. I share real shit. Like I'm not making stuff up, so it can be kind of like tricky situations.
I know, but be careful with how much you indulge in, because if it just, not that they would do anything, but it just, with these times, like you never know what makes people tick.
Well, no, I honestly think it's important conversation too, because like there's so many people out there that I think it's specific to women in general, but it's also like there's a hyper awareness of it specifically towards trans women, because we are seen as lesser than or objectified by a demographic of people, like specifically men who in the sexual aspect. And so you end up having people being like, what are you wearing? What's underneath? Blah, blah, blah. Like, will you wear pantyhose? Like all these creepy fetishy things. And then you have like solicitation for prostitution, because maybe this man is assuming like, because I'm a trans woman, like I must also be a prostitute. Like, you know what I mean? Like these assumptions might be made specifically because I'm trans. Like, I don't think he would like boldly ask a woman that he didn't know was trans, like to prostitute. Like that doesn't...
Well, it's just,
I don't know.
It's predatory behavior, right? Like it really is at the end of the day. It's creepy as being polite about it. Like it's predatory. And when you want to you explain your boundaries. No, I think like something like I'm really like, I try to understand about myself, and I am very aware of it, but I wish this for other women out there. And trans women is like, this is a across the board thing, because I think we all share this in common, unfortunately, and where the idea of consent and women expressing their boundaries and those not being respected is unfortunately like, it's an epidemic of like, I say I don't want this, but the person that is getting this explained to, like if it's a guy or another girl or whatever, and they're not respecting just overall human-to-human interaction. If they're not respecting your boundaries, that's a major red flag. So it's something as little as like you go for a kiss on the cheek, which is, I've literally gone, that is like, I feel like every female has gone through that. Hey, kiss me on the cheek. Oh, kiss. Oh, oops. And it's like, wait a minute. That's crossing the line.
If you have to like trick someone to kissing you on the lips, then you're a loser. Because like, if they don't want to kiss you on the lips,
you're not respecting them.
Yeah.
See, now I'm already like, it's like if you have to trick someone to do something, even if it's something as what we deem minimal as a kiss on the cheek, and then you trick that person and you kiss them, that is not respecting their boundaries. That's not respecting that person. So I think it's something that a lot of women, anyone goes through, especially when you're dating someone and you're trying to get to know a person. And that's like a massive red flag. If they're not able to respect even that little of what we consider a minimal boundary, like a kiss on the cheek, what else are they not going to respect?
Exactly. It's sad how like we as women sometimes we have to like learn how to create boundaries because people are always pushing on them or crossing them or trying to like take advantage of them. Specifically, like I guess like man to woman relationship, on average it's more common that like men are always going to try to push boundaries in order to like, and you have to kind of like figure that out the hard way sometimes, which sucks, but
Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen, like we've all, I think every female out there has a story of if they've gone to a club and they've been groped inappropriately or something obviously drastically more worse. And and maybe that's again another topic for another day, but the sad part is that we all, women, however we identify, whether we're, trans, non-binary, or we're, cisgender women, we all literally have something to tell when we've gone on it on that night out.
Yeah.
There's always something where a boundary's been crossed, and we just accepted that was, that's just the way it is. Well, what if it doesn't wait a minute. It shouldn't be though, It's like a weird way. We've also been conditioned.
I feel like there's like a dichotomy though of where we want to acknowledge that wasn't okay and learn from it and grow from it in the ways that we can and establish our boundaries, but also we don't want to like put too much importance on it either, because I feel like if we ruminate on it too much, then it consumes us and we like have this like false sense of like how it like affected or damaged us, like, oh, like this person groped me and now I feel like, very uncomfortable, and like obviously you're gonna feel like what you feel, and I'm not gonna invalidate that, but at the same time, like I almost feel like if we on some plane of existence acknowledge it was wrong and that shouldn't have happened and that's effed up, but also like you're fine, life goes on, and you can like, you're a great person still, you're no different from before and after. The only difference is that you learn that person was like a nasty gross loser,
or you learned something about yourself, like, wait a minute, that didn't feel great.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Like, but now
yeah.
Maybe you feel shame or you're embarrassed that you let that happen or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, every person is in charge of their own behavior. And the onus is not on you because it happened to you and it made you feel bad. It's just kind of something like the only sort of remotely productive thing you can take from it is like, okay, well, that person did this to me. It made me feel like this. Okay, now I know in the future that that's not okay. And if that happens again, I know I hope to at least stop it before it happens.
Yeah.
Or not express my boundaries to my future partner, another person who hopefully is a better partner or a better person to date, that, hey, listen, I'm not okay with this.
Exactly.
And hopefully they respect that. But also at the same time, but also at the same time, it's like, I think there should be a balance maybe of like, if I'm going to go out and I'm going to go on a date and we get intimate or whatever, there should be maybe an expectation that things might go somewhere, or some person may interpret your body language a certain way that they feel like they can take it where you may not realize. But, as long as you express your
communication and whatever.
Yeah,
sure.
You just got to communicate. Like,
definitely.
And I think it's a balance. And not being too...
I'm at a phase where I feel like if I am going to go for drinks in the evening with someone, I'm thinking in my head, this could lead to something more casual.
If you want it to.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, like the implied, like I am implying if we like go for drinks, that if everything goes well and the date's nice and like I use that term loosely. If the date's going well, maybe you want to like, have a casual encounter. Like it's not like you're meeting for coffee and like getting to know each other one-on-one on a deep level and all this and that. I mean, sometimes maybe you are meeting in the evening, for just like a regular date, but I would say like drinks in the evening, like past 9 p.m. That's kind of giving like more of a casual vibe,
Maybe,
in my
yeah.
opinion. Like, because
Yeah.
you meet with someone and then it's like 10 p.m. and you both enjoyed each other's company, you're drinking alcohol, like it could lead somewhere like that. But
Yeah.
some people just like don't get it either. Like there was this one guy I was talking to and he like bailed on me, and we like talked about this a little bit, but like guys these days are not like reading between the lines, and he basically was like, oh, I don't really want like a long-term date situation. I don't want to like be dating someone. I'm not looking for that right now. And I'm sorry if I like implied that. And I was like, no, like literally the bare minimum when you're meeting someone new is to go somewhere public, meet them in public, make sure everything's normal. And if you like them and then you want to have a hookup or whatever you want, you've met them in public, everything's safe, and then you can like go back to someone's house or whatever. And it's like, that's the bare minimum. Like, I'm not gonna just invite some random into my house before I've even met them. And it's like, I told him that and he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Well, honestly, like this sounds more appealing now. Like I still want to go. And I'm like, you literally just tried to cancel on me an hour before the date. Like, I'm not, like, no, goodbye. So just
Yeah,
like,
I think, I mean, it's good that it's nice to see that he communicated his expectations to you, his boundaries. You know, so I think it's also, if women communicate their boundaries, and we will obviously expect men to respect those. If a male communicates his boundaries, I think that's also like, it should go the same way. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's
agreed.
You know, but I think it seems like he was kind of getting spooked, like extra, like
Yeah, he was
anxious
just too
beforehand.
nervous.
Yeah, and I think that's what it seems like. He was just a little like, he was overthinking it maybe, or
it's crazy because the
wasn't
night before,
ready, or
the night before he like Snapchatted me and he was like, it was at 1 a.m. and he was like, I can't sleep. I guess I'm too excited for tomorrow. It's like, pick a lane. Like, either be lukewarm and nervous or like be really into it. And like he was giving like really into it up until the moment. And I was like,
Yeah, I
this
think
is just like a yo.
he's just I think he just like he just chickened out. Whatever. It's and then you go your merry way.
Yeah. Well, cheers to that. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining me, Lauren. It's been so lovely. This podcast is just getting started, and thank you for helping me through the early aughts of it. I'll always remember this, and so will everyone
Elliot
else.
wants an old fashioned.
Yes. Do you want people to like go follow you on Twitch or something? Or no you don't even care.
Just kidding. I'm not active enough on anything.
She's not like a social media person, and I feel like most people in my life are not. So it's like refreshing, but at the same time, like if you do want more Lauren, she occasionally streams on Twitch.
Sometimes,
so
yeah. Or you'll catch me on Maya's
Exactly.
screaming at the opponent in Fortnite or any other video game that we play.
And I'm sure I'll have you on the pod again soon.
Yeah,
like,
people
eventually.
care
Yes.
about what I have to say. If not, then
We'll see what ratings you get, and then we'll decide whether or
Give
not.
me an Uber rating.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. If everyone wants me on, that's cool.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. And to all my brain rotters out there, hit that follow button, thumbs up if you loved today's pod. We're just chill vibes, working through it, rotting our brains on the internet and discussing life, pop culture, politics, and everything. And honestly, we didn't even really get to much pop culture topics, which is totally fine. But
yeah, it's a good intro episode.
Yes. Good. Cheers to that.
Cheers. I'm already done I guzzled my drink.
Time for round 2.
Mm-hmm.